A life taken. 13 lives taken. 28 lives taken. 17 lives taken. Countless more lives taken from the simple pull of a trigger.
Rest in peace to all the kids that lost their lives in the Parkland shooting. The song is dedicated to you.
On February 14th, 2018, a gunman walked into Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School and for the next 16 minutes proceeded to shoot his former classmates, killing 17 and wounding 17 more.
Tragically, this wasn't the first time America went through an ordeal like this. According to CNN, as of March 24th, there has been 17 school shootings since the beginning of 2018.
Panic of students fleeing hands raised in single file, only matched by the images of armed tactical police racing into the building looking for the gunman. From the air, emergency crews could be seen tending to the wounded, dressing their wounds.
Coming out with one injured person. He's shot.
As a result of these devastating events, many advocacy groups have formed to pressure the government to create stricter gun laws in this country. This includes the group formed in the aftermath of the Parkland shooting, Never Again MSD. Many people consider this shooting to be a major turning point in gun violence awareness. However, with this comes differing views and opinions on how the country should move forward after so many tragedies. One of the most prevalent debates to come out of recent events is whether schools should arm teachers to create a strong force against potential shooters entering the campus with deadly intentions. Differing opinions have split the country, each side presenting arguments that ultimately boil down to what will best protect children at school. However, although these intentions are the same on opposing sides, arming teachers is not the most effective way to increase security at school, as there are many risks that come with adding more weapons to an already volatile situation. In addition to unwanted pressure, there are simply too many risks related to arming teachers. Students would be within proximity to firearms unless they were able to be put in locked safes, which detracts from the purpose of providing teachers with an accessible weapon to use in times of crisis. This could lead to accidents where the gun falls into a student's hands and results in many consequences. Other events like accidental discharge of a weapon are definite possibilities as well.
Potential shooters, and I don't want our students to feel like they can be shot by their teachers accidentally. So if I were a student, I would probably feel afraid because now there are guns in the classroom that could be used by somebody other than the teacher and cause an accident. Like a kid who might get upset or might be mentally disturbed might gain access to the teacher's gun and create something that wouldn't have happened otherwise. It is dangerous to have guns in a classroom.
It may be a possibility that teachers with some former military or gun experience would be the suitable candidates for these measures. However, even law enforcement officials do not find success with firearms. One study found that these officials only have an average of 20% hit ratio in armed confrontations. How would a teacher be able to do as well or better than trained officers? Wishful thinking or luck cannot be applied to saving a child's life.
Well, I was in the Army for a year and a half, so I know how to use a gun. I know how to use an assault rifle, and that doesn't prepare me in any way to carry a weapon in our civil society, to use a weapon in situations other than the military. So while I was trained in the military, I don't feel like I'm trained to have a gun under any other circumstances.
Some people believe that desperate times call for desperate measures. However, we cannot be rash in our efforts to prevent these senseless tragedies from occurring again. Arming teachers won't be an effective way to increase security. We cannot simply equate more weapons with more safety.
Because there's certain teachers that have military background or police background that have the training of it, and it would be good for them to be armed at times. As well as they have to go through more specific training to help protect their students.
One thing that differing sides on this issue can come to agree on is that children should feel safe and protected while at school. For some schools in the country, that means equipping teachers with firearms. However, the benefits associated with guns are more profound in rural areas. This is due to the fact that law enforcement is not as reliable due to longer response times. Thus, firearms are more prevalent in public areas like schools as compared to urban and suburban regions. The Sydney, Ohio School District is a prime example of this action. In 7 school buildings of the district, firearms hidden from the students' views are stored in safes, ready to be used if an armed person enters campus. The absolute last resort would be the team of 40 teachers acting as first responders. Windows and doors are numbered in the schools, and visitors must be buzzed in. They must have an armed guard, and there are bulletproof windows.
How has the recent events with the school shootings affected you emotionally in your position on campus?
It makes it more real to realize how much I treat the students as my own children, and if it were to be my kids that are getting shot, it would mess me up emotionally pretty bad.
The turning point that was the Parkland shooting has led to a light shining on teachers as the public awaits what the next step is on gun control. As more and more politicians speak about their support for arming teachers, many people forget to contemplate whether teachers even want to carry guns themselves.
Do you think arming teachers places an unfair burden on them?
I would absolutely think that. Most teachers I know feel overworked and underappreciated most of the time anyway. And then to add into the other responsibilities we have, being trained to use a gun, and then just the psychological toll of knowing if something happens, I have this gun and I am supposed to engage the shooter. That's quite a bit to live with. Also, the fact that agreeing to have a gun means on some level you realize at some point I may have to shoot and kill a student, and I don't know if I'd want to live in that headspace.
So I definitely think it's an extra burden on a teacher if they have to carry a gun, because they walk into this profession purely to teach other students, and if they have to have that thought in the back of their head that they may have to kill or potentially harm another student to protect another student, you're not just adding stress to the environment, you're also adding the potential for mental trauma for this teacher. That's another thing that they shouldn't have to worry about, is the fact that they have to protect their own students, but also the fact that there's a potential of harming their own students in a manner to protect people. So just because it has the potential to save a life, it also has the effects of trauma on these teachers that they don't need to experience currently. Absolutely, yes. And it can be counterproductive. I strongly feel the more guns we have, the higher the probability that something bad will happen because of them. So more guns is definitely not the answer. And arming teachers is most definitely not the answer.
In a nationwide survey conducted by Gallup, 73% of teachers oppose arming faculty at school, while 20% support the proposition. If teachers were allowed to carry a gun on campus, only 16% said that they were somewhat or very confident that they would apply to do so. At a smaller scale, a survey conducted at Plano Senior High School involving faculty members showed that 88.7% did not believe that arming teachers was the most effective way to increase security at school.
Now, what is your emergency?
Someone just at school.
Oh, okay, all right. What's the address, ma'am?
I don't know, Pine Island Road.
Pine Island Road. Well, what school is it?
A shooter.
Okay, is anybody injured?
Yes, a lot of blood. Please help, please.
Okay, we're already starting the paramedics. Are you in a safe location to keep talking?
I don't know.
Okay, do you know how many people are injured?
I don't know. school. It's a school, a big school.
While pressure lies on the teachers concerning their new rules as potential gun owners, this will not prevent the most pervasive emotion, fear, from encompassing the student body. According to a survey sent to high school students and parents living in the Plano area, 26.8% believed that school was not a safe environment. However, over 90% believed that arming teachers was not the most effective way to enhance security. This shows how even though many students and their parents do not view their respective schools as secure, they do not believe that arming teachers would do anything to change their point of view.
So if there had been a real school shooting at Plano Senior High, I don't know if I would feel safe with a shootout between one of my teachers and a potential student or even a potential peer of my own. I just simply wouldn't feel safe. And I honestly don't think that you can fight guns with more guns.
What has your reaction been to recent events relating to school shootings?
It's been horror. This phenomenon is terrifying, that we no longer feel our children are safe in school. So my heart is broken, and I am also angry that we allow this to happen over and over again.
If arming teachers is not a plausible solution, then what is? One possibility is to implement security cameras throughout campuses, especially in remote areas around the school. Another solution is to limit points of entry into the school. This may be difficult to implement on open campuses with many doors allowing students and strangers easy entry to multiple buildings. However, schools should try to establish a main entry point that is well secured and obvious to visitors and students alike, that this is the primary way to enter the school, making it more difficult to bypass security.
Much about people. And through it all, there's this passion and this love that she had.
She never needed my protection because she was strong enough to face everything that was coming.
This country has been divided over how to pick up the pieces after the generation meant to survive to be our future is gunned down time and again. Instead of only arguing about which side cares more about our children's lives, we should discuss how we can save them. Creating meaningful dialogue means more than continuing an abusive one. As times become more desperate, students and teachers need to come together and establish plans on what to do if a shooter enters campus, as well as regulate protocol for everyday schedules in the classroom. Parents and students need to come together and explain their fears and ways to deal with it. Finally, America needs to come together and formulate ideas to protect the youth of today and their innovation of tomorrow.
School shootings are so normalized now that if I were to text my parents that there had been a shooting at my school, they wouldn't be surprised. They would just tell me to get into a safe location.
Our children are less safe because there are more guns. And in this case, some teachers might not be motivated or trained or even willing to use a gun.
Guns have no place in the classroom, and a teacher is not an exception to why a gun should be in the classroom.
Agreeing to have a gun means on some level you realize at some point I may have to shoot and kill a student, and I don't know if I'd want to live in that headspace.
Children should never go to school fearing for their lives. We should have learned after Columbine when 13 innocent students and teachers were killed. We should have learned after Sandy Hook when first-grade students were mindlessly slaughtered. A teacher herded her 6- and 7-year-old students to the back, hiding them in a bathroom, the shooter still forcing his way into the classroom. 14 children lying dead. Another dead in the hospital. A sole survivor says, "Mommy, I'm okay, but all my friends are dead." Words we hope to never hear again.
And from first graders in Newtown. First graders. And from every family who never imagined that their loved one would be taken from our lives by a bullet from a gun. every time I think about those kids, it gets me mad.
We are here today to present a united front in our own community in hopes to reach out to other communities who are in need of our strength right now.
We may just be students, but we are powerful and bold, and our voices deserve to be heard. We as students have a job to call for gun reform and common sense gun laws. We say, protect children, not guns. Protect innocent American citizens, not guns. Most of us are still too young to vote, but it is our job to call our lawmakers and demand that they make changes. Text RESIST to 50409. Hold town halls in your city. Text Parkland to 20222 to donate to the victims and families impacted by this tragedy. Voters can take the No NRA Money pledge to oppose politicians funded by the NRA. Together, we can and will make a difference.